Anyway, so let's talk about The Little Mermaid. Let's just get straight into it. It's an absolute, it's an S show, right? It's floundering. It's not doing very well. And there's massive mainstream media cope. There is absolutely, unequivocally huge mainstream media cope.
Yeah.
And a lot of the primary focus actually comes from Deadline. Deadline are awful at this. And they're like, there's racially tinged reviews. Yes, Einstein, because you purposely changed the character's ethnicity. So it would be ignorant not to talk about that. And they're very careful with what they say. They're not saying there's racist reviews. No. There's racially tinged reviews, i.e., someone has addressed the fact that she's black. Well, yes, that's what's going to happen because you purposely changed it. It's absolutely moronic. You purposely change something, and then you expect everyone to go, "Oh, yeah,
that's fine.
I didn't see that. Oh, it's fine." Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, no, of course, people are going to talk about it. Of course, people are going to address that. And Deadline specifically have tried to say, that like Germany, Korea, France, etc., they're all racist. They're all racist about the movie. Now, make no mistake, this movie is being heavily propped up for whatever reason. I don't know why.
Oh, it's being more than propped up. It's being fortified.
Yeah, but massively. In terms of like the amount that they've taken barely anything, right? It's not good money. Worldwide, it's awful. It's like 160 odd million worldwide or something like that. $164 million global, right? Yeah, by Monday. Yeah. That's terrible.
A 4-day holiday weekend in the US, yeah.
That's awful. And people are like, oh, it's doing swimmingly well. No, it's not. So what do we think? First and foremost, guys, we'll get into some of the articles as a bit of reference point, but what are your thoughts on this? Because I didn't make anyone go and watch this movie. I wasn't that cruel. So what do you think?
I think this is just indicative of Disney continuing to demonstrate that they no longer understand their audience. They lack creativity, as they have with all of these live action remakes.
Again, that's
embarrassing. Yeah. In a lot of ways, they're drowning under the $250 million budget that this film had, not counting anything else that went along with it.
They've already confirmed that there's an $80 million promo campaign. That's just ad partners. That's not their trailers advertising as well. Yeah. I mean, what? And you say fortified, Tom. This is unequivocally fortified because they're like, that's the biggest ad campaign any Disney property's ever done. Why'd you choose this of all things?
Because they got nothing else.
Why did you choose this for that?
Yeah.
Well, and what I also meant by fortifying was the IMDb score and some other places.
Weighted and locked in.
Oh, I know. Oh,
and the Rotten Tomato score, yeah. Like, and IMDb just admits it. It's like they're not even moving the goalpost anymore. They're just flat out going, yeah. We're
changing it.
We're changing it. Like, yeah.
Wait, no. I think you identified one of them, Nate, earlier today. Allocine.
Yeah, Allocine. Yeah. They're like massively woke.
I'm like,
it's like racist. They're like,
wow. All right. Yeah, it's very bad. I mean, ratings are ratings. Metacritic, you still can see, what I would say would probably reflect an accurate score. But
even Hollywood Reporter, or was it Deadline, was one of those two. Even in their report about it being review bombed, they even had to admit that most of the major papers in a lot of these countries, the reviewers were the ones giving the bad reviews.
Yeah,
it was the Deadline article. That's the thing, right? They even acknowledge that actually it's the reviewers themselves that are like, yeah, no, it's not actually that good. Oh, for goodness sake!
But it's just
like, well, there could be review bombing, but
oh, goodness, what on earth?
It's quite rough. I mean, to be fair, it's quite rough. And look, it's overperforming expectations at the moment domestically.
So funny.
Yeah, but to be fair, I mean, let's just count the 3-day weekend. It only made $95 million domestically. We're talking about one of the most beloved animated films ever, and this is supposed to be, a retool of that. I just first of all,
Well, and that aside, also it needs to be pointed out that out of all the reboots they've done, the Renaissance reboots have all made $1 billion regardless. And they all been, for the most part, well received outside of maybe Beauty and the Beast was kind of had meh, just depending on who you asked. But like Aladdin was well received, The Lion King, even though we didn't care for it or whoever, but it was a huge freaking box office success.
Yeah.
I mean, this should have followed suit. Culture, you're right.
you are looking at to date $68 million reported on the international market.
That's so bad.
That's
So this is on par with the first big flop of the year, which was Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Worse than Ant-Man, isn't it? Basically.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, but people are saying, "Oh no, it's really good. It's doing really well." No, it's not.
No, and I mean, it's harder to call the entire world racist. I mean,
they're trying. They are trying.
But you look at some of these returns. China, $2.78 million total. I mean, it's embarrassing. Italy went out for this movie and spent about $4 million. But I'm looking at these numbers and I'm like,
well, even the UK did traditionally bad numbers for these things because the UK normally does pretty well with these Disney remakes, but I think even they only did like 6 million or something like that. I
don't have the reporting for that in front of me. I just know that there's not a lot of interest here. I don't anticipate that's going to change. I mean,
what's opening up now against it, right? You got big movies now coming up and opening against it. I mean, this was its time to make money.
Yeah,
to at least hit its production budget on its own.
To be honest, I think this is going to be one of those years where a lot of these movies are going to disappoint.
Yeah,
I don't think Spider-Verse is going to do as well as I think it's going to. The only one who might perform on par would be maybe Mission Impossible, but they're already setting up The Flash to practically flop.
Yeah.
I mean,
we'll get to that.
Yeah, we're going to get to that in a few minutes, but I mean, there's nothing in this upcoming schedule that even Transformers, they've kind of
they did correct that, didn't they?
Yeah, but you still never know. We're at this kind of region where I feel like this is going to be one of those years that reminds me of 2019, where just about everything underperformed, even though the studios had a record year.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I mean, 2018 was the peak box office. 2019 was real close, and
yeah,
but
we had like Solo flop that summer. You had the Pirates movie not do that good that summer, and a couple.
You know what? That would make sense with the sort of 3-year turnaround of a movie, right? From inception or conception to photography to post-production to release. That would make sense. You're looking at 2019. These things were still in the works. COVID slowed it down, and then they come out this year, and people are like, yeah, shit. Like crap, we're still on the old train of thought, which was not producing any money in 2019. That does actually work on that scale.
It really does.
It may very well still be a carryover from that.
Yeah, and look, I mean, we have a succession of bombs coming up. I mean, we know, and we're going to talk about them later. But this film doesn't have room to run. Another reason that it has no legs. Because
I love the puns today. This is great.
Because of the competition. Look, you enter the Spider-Verse or escape the Spider-Verse, or we trying to reinvent Spider-Man for the 12th time. That film's going to suck rocks, right? I mean, do we really believe it's going to make over $335 million?
I think it has potential to do better than the first film, but the thing is going to hurt. That's going to hurt it, like I said. And this is not even my personal shit involved.
2D stuff,
I just think that its 2 hours and 20-minute runtime is going to hurt it.
That
means this movie.
The animation style.
Well, the animation is. People love the animation, praise the animation. I'm somebody who's not a fan of it. I did not like the first film. I saw all the woke crap in the first film. The movie gave me a headache from the animation style.
Oh yeah,
I even saw it in 3D, which improves it, if you ask me, because at least then you have some sort of separation. Because even when you're watching it in 2D, it feels like you're watching a 3D movie without the 3D glasses on, because you got everything separated in red and blue. And I'm like, this looks weird and it's giving me a headache. But anyway, that shit aside, it's the running time. It's a kid's movie and it's 2 hours and 20 minutes long. That means you're looking at a 2 hour and 45-minute turnaround, at least, if not more, in a theater. That means you're not going to get as many showings in. then you got other movies out right now that are taking up other screens. So they're not going to be able to clear out so many screens for this movie, even if it is doing well,
Yeah.
which I think it's going to have a decent opening, especially with kids.
I
The
agree with
boys that
that.
could give a crap about Little Mermaid are going to want to go see this. Right. But at the end of the day, I think it's going to be a disappointment.
Wait.
It's a box office culture. I think you're getting to is what you're getting to here.
Well, I was going to say it's not just that though, is it? So when does Spider-Verse release? Sorry, when is that one releasing?
Next week.
Next week.
Next week. But doesn't next week is Transformers as well? Right. Next weekend is Transformers: Rise of the Beast. Yeah. Not this weekend coming. Next weekend. Right. I know it because it was on it's on my calendar. And
Okay,
I have every
Spider-Verse
movie on
gets,
the
I
calendar.
think, like 3 days on it. I think is what's going to happen.
So that'll be like on a Wednesday, but on the Friday, Transformers:
Yeah.
Rise of the Beast release, and then the following weekend after that is the Flash. So you've got these 3 big movies that will take all the attention away from
Actually,
the Little Mermaid. Anyway.
Spider-Verse comes out in the next
Yeah,
couple
it's just
days
the next
here.
couple days. Yeah, it's on the
It
second.
opens on June 2nd.
Yeah.
Sorry,
That's
my
it then.
bad. I thought it was next
All
week
the
for some
attention's
reason.
gone.
No. That's why I was saying that Little Mermaid had no room to run.
It's gone. Yeah, it's done.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Not that it's competing for an audience, to be fair. I mean, obviously, there will be some ladies that'll be interested in it, but it's just like, you're not going to split your time. If you were going to go see this film, you went and saw it this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this fucking this. Honestly, this and what they've done here is the equivalent of walking into a battlefield with a baby strapped to your chest. This is all that they've done here. This is the equivalent of. It's like, well, I've got something to fall back on regardless. It's fine. Like we could just say everyone's racist. That's why they didn't like it. It could be that you've adapted a beloved classic that
poorly
didn't need to be adapted, and you've changed a bunch of stuff. At least what we can say about the others, and I think this is important, right? At least what you can say about the other movies is that they adapted it pretty bang on. Like Lion King, for instance, was just
shot for shot.
It was shot for shot. They didn't change songs. They didn't change anything. It was shot for shot. Yeah, it was like weird animation and was photorealistic and stuff, but it was shot for shot.
Yeah.
This is an unnecessary remake whilst they're also trying to change it, which is ridiculous. Yeah. And then they're like, oh, well, everyone's just racist. And that's literally what they say. So they're like, so the offshore launch is lower than hopes. Yeah, I bet. For coming into the frame, but it bears noting that there was something fishy going on in the overseas markets with so-called review bombing in such areas as France, Korea, Germany, and beyond. That's right, because French, Koreans, Germans, and everyone else is just all racist, apparently.
But yeah, let me ask. I mean, does that? So are they saying that the critics are review bombing it because the critics are not loving this film?
Well, exactly. This is the thing. They then further continue. They say, while it's got 95%. On Rotten Tomatoes, film ratings websites overseas, including IMDb in the UK, Brazil, and Mexico, as well as Allociné in France, posted advisories during the rollout when negative user reviews appeared in questionable abundance. Who's the arbiter of what is a questionable abundance? Maybe it could just I don't see anyone questioning when Neil Breen releases a movie and they go, this is garbage. No one goes, it's questionable abundance of negative reviews here. Is his name, is it?
Well, you know what? It is
something that would fall in the right political purview, right? As long as it was getting positive reviews. They wouldn't say, oh, it's getting positively review bombed.
Exactly.
In fact, I have an example of that. They actually asked for reviews, good review bombs, on the television show A League of Their Own. Because they did a TV show of that for Amazon, and you had the entire cast out there just begging for good reviews. So that's ostensibly asking for a good review bomb.
Yeah.
Yes. Do these things happen? Yes. There are these groups of people like the Snyder fans and some other people. I'm not trying to single them out, but I'm just using them as an example where they do have certain bot farms and they do go out there and they do these things. It's been proven. Okay.
Right.
But that is not on a level that I think that anybody could give a shit about Little Mermaid.
Yeah, not with this.
Exactly.
And they're like in France, where Little Mermaid launched on Wednesday, Allociné, notoriously woke outlet, we're currently observing an unusual distribution of scores, which demands the need for caution. We encourage you to make up your own mind about the film. Yeah, obviously, Well, not
This reminds me
unprecedented.
more of Ghostbusters 2016 than anything. Sorry, go ahead. My bad.
I think it's
Yeah.
Captain
Oh no, I
Marvel.
think it was Liberation. Sorry, and Premiere. These ones are the. This is Allocity.
Those are the papers that gave it negative review, and they had to point it out. Yeah,
but they are like notoriously, like, you know,
Woke.
wokey, like lefty.
Yeah.
So it's funny that they're like, well, they gave it bad reviews. To be fair, critics did. It's like, well, so there you go then. So you've got these notoriously like left wing,
but those are pre-approved critics, Nate. See, that's the thing. You gotta understand. You're only allowed to have a negative opinion if you're the right kind of critic. Meaning, well, clearly you're not a racist because you're a lefty or whatever that is over there, the equivalent of, or wokey, whatever you want to call it. So, in this respect, of course, you're not being racist in your review. You just actually genuinely didn't like it. All these other people over here, though, those people, they're racists. Because they cannot possibly not like this movie and not be racist. That's their mentality on this.
Well, IMDb has gone so far as to say our rating mechanism has detected unusual voting activity on this title. This is the funny thing. To preserve the reliability of our rating system, an alternate weighting calculation has been applied. And it's like, okay, so what's that then? And like, although we accept and consider all votes received by users, not all votes have the same impact or weight on the final rating. When unusual voting activity is detected, an alternate weighting calculation may be applied in order to preserve the reliability of our system. Basically, we fucking decide what score it gets.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like,
that's just atrocious.
I mean, yeah, they're the dominion.
Well, not just that, they decide who gets to vote.
Exactly, that's what I mean. Yeah, like,
it's not
approved narrative.
Who counts the votes is the one who's going to win here. That's what they're saying.
He who controls history.
But I look at it. Look, I'm looking at this film as an opportunity to point out once again the failure of this stuff. And look, so that you're going to blame trolls. Can I say something? Trolls aren't looking at fucking rating sites. I mean, obviously, cinema goers aren't looking at that. They don't look at rate. I said this morning. You don't look at Rotten Tomatoes. Nobody goes to Rotten Tomatoes.
Normally
unless they're us, right? And so, you know, a film can have a 3 Rotten Tomatoes score, and you're still going to have people marching off to go see Renfield. I mean, you're not. Actually,
that's the problem. Nobody did go see Renfield.
But you understand my point is it's not going to influence people. Like our reaction to the indie film is going to influence the people who follow us. That's true.
You're right. The general audience generally doesn't follow or give a
and they wouldn't know. And they wouldn't know. And it's like it's only people that seek out the information that are going to look at that. So let's be fair. Did that impact? Do these thoughts, do these ratings, do these reviews of this film truly impact the box office in a significant way?
No, most of the people that follow reviewers are listening right now, and like you just said, Culture, they follow reviewers like us, because they either share similar tastes or they either find similarities in what they agree with or disagree with in their movie viewing experiences. And this is kind of how I used to use my critics back in the day when it came to like, the Siskel and Eberts and the Gene Shalitts and all the other guys back then. And, the Leonard Maltins and whatnot is like, I kind of knew their taste and I kind of would just gauge my movie viewing on that and just my own personal, what I want to see due to what they show me with the poster in the trailers and whatnot. And, what actors are representing the film and such. And, IMDb used to be one of the better aggregators because that's the thing also is we understand that Rotten Tomatoes is an aggregator. It's not a person. It's not a single voice. It's not like the end all be all. But the thing about the IMDb that was great, it was basically open to the public. As long as you had a profile, you could rate a movie. And if you're there long enough and you do certain things like me, I've been there for almost 20 plus years or whatever. I can actually go in and change certain things in because I've contributed so much to like trivia and other technical aspects and stuff. I can go in there and in most cases mess with stuff. So it's not like that it wasn't already vulnerable in that respect. But the one thing that was always tried and true is usually the ratings, and the ratings stayed pretty well. Like it was hard to get a movie that at a high rating on IMDb, which to me is like, okay, good. That's a good aggregator then, because not everything's going to get a 10 and not everything's going to get a 1, right? Like movies like The Godfather are sitting around at like 9s and 8s, like, and those are the highest rated films, like The Godfather, Lord of the Rings, Shawshank Redemption are generally bouncing around usually in the top 5 rated films on IMDb, and they still have high 8s and 9s, right? Like there's no such thing as a perfect 10 on there. But here we're looking at a movie that has a 95 percentile rating on the Rotten Tomatoes, and you expected me to believe that 95% of the people that are rating this film love it? Bullshit.
Yeah.
Because even on average, like the IMDb score would probably be sitting, if they just left it alone, probably somewhere between 6, 6.5, maybe a little less, but that's probably what it really is at the end of the day. This movie at best is mediocre. It's not much of different than the original film. It doesn't take too many, chances, and what chances it does do go against the grain of the original film. So at the end of the day, that's why it doesn't deserve such a high rating. And that's why I compared it to Ghostbusters. You have a movie that people are like, well, if you don't like it, you're clearly misogynist. It's like, no, you remade a beloved film and you interjected politics into it for no reason, which is exactly what they did here too.
Yeah. Oh, it's absolutely absurd. It's absolutely absurd. It'll be interesting to see the drop off next weekend. And mark my words, there'll be.
Well, I think we're already seeing the drop off, aren't we, Culture?
Oh, yeah.
Away.
Yeah.
But what I mean, like the week on, week out, the percentile.
Well, what day are we? We're Tuesday now. We had a 19% fall off on a holiday here in the States. So it's already headed downward. So I'm like, and here's the weirdest thing, right? This is something they don't talk about very extensively. That film opened early. They got an extra showing on a Wednesday, one day early here domestically, to the tune of almost $1 million, 850,000 plus. And it's like you had to sneak that extra million in there up front because you knew.
Yeah, we're actually tomorrow. It'll be a week. This movie's been out, and it hasn't even hit 200 million yet, has it?
No.
Oh, that's fucking sad.
Yeah,
that is fucking sad. Excuse my French, but
let me add into this. Let me add into this real quick. Domestic take for this film is $7 million ahead of a Little Mermaid released in 1989. When you adjust the for inflation, the 1989 release of Little Mermaid domestically made $243 million just in domestic run.
That's hilarious.
Do you think this year's film is going to get to 243 million domestic?
I think we'll struggle.
And consider this. We have what percentage of ticket price increase on top of inflation, and how many different theater opportunities were there to see this film? In 89, this is the other wonderful thing. In 89, there were only 2,050 screens that the original Little Mermaid film was seen on.
That's funny, isn't it? What comparison that is.
This film opened on 4,300.
Wow. Yeah, that's a stark contrast. That is a stark contrast.
That's fun.